Have you ever felt completely safe in a place of peace, surrounded by loved ones and in a moment of deep connection, only to realize, seconds later, that everything can change drastically in the blink of an eye? Today, I will share a true story, a powerful narrative that took place at a couple's retreat and that shows us how, in the most frightening and unexpected moments of life, faith can be the only light that guides and saves us, and how the intercession of Our Lady manifests itself in ways that we do not always understand, but that protect us. Prepare yourselves for an exciting journey that begins with serenity and almost ends in tragedy, revealing the unshakable strength of hope and divine protection when we need it most. But first, if you have someone in your heart, a friend, family member, or even yourself who needs a special prayer at this moment to find peace, healing, or a light at the end of the tunnel, write their name in the comments right now. Let's gather all these names and include them in our main prayer with the Holy Rosary at the end of this video. May this story touch your heart and strengthen your faith. It all began on a sunny weekend, a perfect setting for a spiritual retreat dedicated to couples. The goal was simple but profound: to strengthen marital bonds, rekindle the flame of shared faith, and find a space of tranquility away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. The chosen location was a farm or retreat center, located amidst lush nature, with peaceful trails, vast green areas, and rustic buildings that invited introspection and communion. There was a palpable atmosphere of hope and joy in the air, with couples arriving full of anticipation, ready to disconnect from the outside world and reconnect with themselves, their partners, and God. The initial activities unfolded in perfect harmony. Inspiring talks, moving moments of sharing, group prayers that warmed the soul, and dynamics that promoted dialogue and mutual understanding between couples. It was an environment of pure love, peace, and fraternity, where everyone felt welcomed and safe, immersed in an atmosphere of faith and renewal. At a certain point during the retreat, one of the proposed activities involved a meditative walk or moving from one point of the site to another, which were separated by a small stream or depression. To cross, there was a bridge. Not a modern concrete structure, but an old bridge made entirely of wood, which seemed to be part of the rustic landscape of the place. It had a certain charm, with boards worn by time and handrails that showed signs of use, but at first glance it seemed solid and reliable for the crossing. The organizers indicated that the group should pass through it to reach the next meeting point, where a new dynamic awaited. The group began to move towards the bridge, chatting animatedly, some holding hands, others helping each other, maintaining the spirit of unity and joy that had marked the entire retreat up to that point. There was, at that moment, not the slightest indication that that peaceful path could turn into a scene of near tragedy. The next activity would take place on the other side of the stream, but for some reason, whether for a brief break, a group photo, or perhaps because the instruction was to meet on the bridge itself to begin the next stage together, a considerable number of the couples, perhaps 20 or 30 people, ended up simultaneously concentrating on the wooden structure. The atmosphere remained light and relaxed. There was laughter, comments about the previous activities, and the pleasant feeling of being there, in that beautiful place, sharing that special moment. People were relatively close to each other on the bridge, forming a compact group, with their attention focused on the organizers or simply enjoying each other's company and the view around them. The bridge seemed to support the weight well, although perhaps a slight swaying was noticeable due to the movement of the people, something that, at that moment, did not cause concern, being seen as a natural characteristic of a wooden bridge. It was there, in that moment of apparent normality and fellowship on the bridge, that the first alarming signs began to appear. A sound different from the usual creaking of the wood was heard. A louder, more strained creak, as if the structure were under excessive strain. Seconds later, one or two of the couples in the center of the bridge felt a slight but noticeable sinking beneath their feet. At first they thought it was just a loose plank, but the creaking grew louder, becoming a continuous and worrying groan of the wood. Conversations gradually ceased, replaced by looks of apprehension. People began to look at each other, searching each other's faces for some explanation or confirmation that what they were feeling was not just an impression. The slight swaying now seemed more pronounced and irregular, and the sense of solidity that the bridge had conveyed moments before began to be replaced by a growing uneasy sense of instability and imminent danger. What had started as a mild discomfort quickly turned into a growing panic. The creaking of the wood became alarmingly loud, as if the structure was screaming in pain and would not hold out much longer. Wooden planks began to give way, some breaking or coming loose completely, revealing the gap beneath. The bridge visibly sagged in the center, forming a dangerous concavity under the concentrated weight. People who were closest to the banks tried to move quickly to dry land, but the sudden movement of several people at the same time worsened the instability. Screams of fear and surprise echoed throughout the place. Desperation settled on faces. That moment of peace and unity gave way to a fight for safety. There was a palpable feeling that at any second, that wooden bridge could give way completely, throwing everyone into the current of the stream, amidst wooden debris, with a risk of serious injury or something even worse. Tragedy seemed inevitable. At the height of the panic, with the bridge visibly on the verge of collapse and fear paralyzing many, something extraordinary happened. It was not a shrill sound, but rather a force that seemed to come from within each person and manifest itself collectively. Amidst the shouting and chaos, someone, perhaps one of the retreat leaders or simply one of the people taken by faith, began to pray out loud, calling out to Our Lady, asking for her protection and intercession in this moment of extreme danger. And almost instantly, as if a protective mantle had been spread over them, a wave of unexpected calm seemed to touch their hearts. A different energy, a serene strength, allowed people, despite their fear, to react in a more coordinated way, helping each other to get off the unstable bridge. The movement became focused, with an urgent but guided sense of seeking safety. And the bridge, which seemed ready to collapse at any moment, held for those few crucial seconds, long enough for the last people, with their hearts in their throats and their hands trembling, to step onto solid ground, saving themselves from a terrible fall. As soon as the last person managed to get off the bridge and safely step onto the shore, the reaction was an overwhelming mix of relief, shock, and profound gratitude. Legs trembled, many fell to their knees right there, crying, hugging each other, not only because they had escaped unharmed, but because of the clear and unequivocal feeling that they had been supported by something greater, by a force that transcends human logic. Looking back at the bridge, the scene further reinforced the certainty of deliverance. The wooden structure was now visibly damaged, crooked, with broken boards, a scene that just seconds before could have been one of tragedy. What happened there was not just a scare, but a living testimony to the presence and power of faith and the intercession of Our Lady. That moment of near disaster, which could have ended in the worst, was transformed into an instant of light, of renewed hope and certainty in divine protection. The experience left a deep impression on each couple, reinforcing their conviction that, even on the most unstable paths in life, we are never alone when we place our trust in God and the Blessed Mother. This story, which almost had a tragic ending on a wooden bridge, powerfully reminds us that life is full of unstable bridges and moments of crisis that can arise without warning. It could be an unexpected illness, a serious financial problem, difficulties in marriage, a painful family conflict, the loss of a loved one, or even just that feeling of being lost and without direction. Just like those couples on the bridge, we often find ourselves in situations where everything seems about to fall apart, where fear and despair threaten to consume us. It is precisely in these moments that faith becomes our greatest refuge and our greatest strength. We need, just as they cried out to Our Lady, to have prayer as our daily sustenance, seeking the peace that only comes from God, the strength to forgive and ask for forgiveness, the courage to face difficulties with hope, and the certainty that divine grace can work miracles and conversions in our lives and in the lives of those we love. Faith does not prevent bridges from shaking, but it gives us the strength to cross them safely and the certainty that there is invisible protection guiding us. Thinking about this and the difficulties that many face, I repeat the invitation from the beginning. If you have someone in your heart, a friend, family member, or even yourself, who needs a special prayer at this moment to find peace, healing, a sincere conversion, a strengthening of faith, or a light at the end of the tunnel on their unstable bridge, write this person's name in the comments right now. Let's gather all these names and include them in our main prayer with the Holy Rosary that we will say at the end, asking for Our Lady's intercession for each of these intentions. This retreat experience is a powerful reminder that faith is not something distant or theoretical, but a living force that manifests itself in our lives, especially in times of trial. Our Lady's intercession is an invaluable gift that supports and guides us. What did this story awaken in you? Have you ever been in a situation where you felt the presence of God or Our Lady supporting you in a time of great difficulty? Share your experience or your reflection on the topic here in the comments. Your sharing can strengthen the faith of many other people who follow us. If this story touched your heart in any way, please leave your like on this video. This greatly helps our work to reach more people who need to hear this message of hope. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel, subscribe now and activate the bell so you don't miss our upcoming content on faith, hope, and inspiring stories. May Our Lady's protection always be with you and your family. May God be with you,